to this edition of the Illinois 4-H Clover Connection. Today I have a very special guest with us that we're going to learn about her 4-H story, where she's been, and congratulate her on some special recognition that she's received. And so today I have Janice Seitz with me. Many of you know her as Dr. Janice Seitz. She did serve as our director of Illinois 4-H from 1997 until 2003. Make sure I have those dates correct. And then she left us and went to the University of Delaware, where she had the great privilege of serving as the Assistant Dean and Director of Extension and Outreach. And so we are thrilled to have her back here in Illinois today. And so Jan, I welcome you to this edition of Illinois Clover Connection.
It's so great to talk with you.
Yes, you too. We could just talk always.
We could. When it's 4-H.
I know, that's right. All things 4-H. So, well, Jan, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, my background, my 4-H background started early. I grew up in the Mennonite community. And so the social was either 4-H or my church group.
Sure.
So 4-H was big. Now I started early. We didn't have Clover buds then. And I went to my first meeting in a bassinet because my mom was a volunteer.
Early, yes.
That's early, yes. And I know they might take my award away. I know I was violating rules because I was just showing exhibits before I was really the 4-H age, but no one seemed to care.
No, they were happy to have you along and knew you joined 4-H.
And I just loved it. The interesting thing about my early years in 4-H, I was known as being very shy.
Okay.
In school, the teacher said I kind of just never wanted to be called upon. The kids teased me because I weighed like 70 pounds, unfortunately. And I had big eyes and big ears, and they just teased me all the time. I don't know if that was why I was so shy, but I was so shy.
Sure.
And I still remember, I've got to tell this story because it was so important. They did to give my first presentation for my club, the Clever Clovers, Paulding, Ohio. And I had been sick at my stomach that day. I was so scared. Oh. Well, my leader, Joan Lambright, who was a teacher in the schools, came out to the car because I wasn't going to get out of the car.
Oh, you stayed in the car. Oh, goodness. Oh, no.
Mom couldn't get me out of the car. So Joan said, Jan, come on, we'll do it together. And I'm like, yeah, right. Anyway, she finally got me out of the car. We went in, and she did more of my presentation than I did. Next presentation, she was there about 3 or 4. I'm doing less each time.
Yes.
And by the end, I was a different person. I was an officer in my club, and even in the end, I was president for everything.
Oh, I love
and people that knew me before couldn't believe it.
That you had done that.
Because I was so shy, and we were exhibiting at the fair and everywhere, and it just, I credit her. She's no longer with us, but I credit her for really pulling me out of that place. And she just let me shadow her. And little by little, she slipped away, and I was on my own.
Oh, I love it.
So anyway, it's just an important, I remember.
That's an important piece. And a lot of 4-H alumni talk about that scary experience of giving their first talk and demonstration. And so how you grow and learn from that.
Absolutely.
And that's a prime example of that. And look how 4-H helped you get out of that shell.
And when I see our 4-Hers today with the public speaking competition, I just get chills. I think, how can they do that?
I know.
I couldn't do that.
Yes. I bet they had some practice too to do that.
I know.
But yes, it's always good.
Yes.
So, well, I know one of the stories that you told about your other experiences in 4-H is the quartet you belong to. You want to highlight that a little bit? I know that was such a highlight for you.
My 3 dear friends and we were in a quartet. My mom was a piano player. My dear mom. I know she was looking down the other night, so thrilled with this award because she loved 4-H.
Yes.
And so she was always doing. You can't believe the things she did. I mean, if somebody needed whatever, there was my mom. Anyway, so we entered the regional talent competition.
Okay.
And we won.
Oh, I love it.
So then we were invited to go to Columbus, Ohio, stay in the dorm, and perform for the state teen conference.
Oh, fun.
And here are 4 farm kids. had not been out of Paulding County ever. We're on this campus, and we were scared to death.
Aww.
But I think it went okay.
Yes, absolutely. I think so too, because I've seen pictures and I know it was just such a special
And it was so
time,
funny because
a
we had no
memory.
problems or anything because
Sure.
of the nature of the community, and so we wore little formals for this, and I think people thought they're in formals.
What are they doing? What are they doing? But again, another place that you got up in front of people.
Yes.
And you just were able to share your talent, and hopefully 4-H helped you get there to do that too.
And these friends too have passed.
Okay.
But my friend Kay, we communicate in Facebook constantly.
Oh, I love it. That's
and
neat.
it's just, we just share everything because we were in the same class. Our class had 19.
Oh, wow.
In the class, there were 12 of the Amish faith, and Mennonite Amish. They were exchanged those words.
Sure.
And 2 of our quartet were from that faith.
Oh, how neat.
And and we were there when each passed.
Oh.
And it was hard times.
Absolutely.
But anyway, Kay and Kay just had surgery, so we've sent back and forth.
I love it. I love how you're still keeping in touch. That's
it's
amazing.
just wonderful.
That's
and she's so
amazing.
excited about this.
Yes.
She said,
yes.
"Oh, Jen, I'm so excited. I was part of it." I said, "Oh, you were indeed part of it."
That's right. Absolutely. And so Jan was just recently recognized as our National Hall of Fame winner. And so what an honor for Illinois. What an honor I know for you.
Oh, thrilled.
And so that's why we're here today. We're going to be celebrating you a little bit more today and talking again a little bit more about your career and your experience. But first, tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you took in 4-H. What were some of those?
We held a first aid, gardening.
Okay.
Photography, I think. I was doing it. I'm not sure it was a formal sewing. And someday I'll tell you the story about my first sewing project. And we don't have time today, but it earned my only white ribbon.
Okay, so we learned from that experience,
yes,
probably.
But I have the white ribbon framed.
Oh, yes.
It's hanging in my home here. It was hanging in my office because I looked at that white ribbon. And it's a long story how I was so excited about my hoop skirt.
Absolutely.
And we had a treadle machine. And there's my grandma, my mom, and me trying to get it to work.
Oh, goodness.
I go to town, I get the fabric and ribbons for my hair and my shoestrings pink and so on, so excited. And then comes judging day and I see the stitches weren't even, the pressure wasn't, and so on, and there goes the white ribbon.
Right.
So I announced to my mom at dinner that night, I am not going to be in this fashion show the next day, no way. And my mother said, Janice Ann,
you are.
You will indeed be in the fashion show because you need to think on what you learn.
Absolutely.
You learn to work with others. You learn something new. You had great joy in it. And think about the next project. And maybe we'll have a real sewing machine in the next one.
Yes.
So there I am the next day. And the leader, the MC of the fashion show asked me after I modeled my skirt, which I still like. I thought it was beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. It still was wearable. Yes.
Oh, it was more than wearable.
Yes,
anyway, my
absolutely.
friends loved it. Anyway, the MC asked me, what did you learn about with your experience? And so I ended up really kind of saying exactly what my mom had commented for the night before. And I said, I guess what my mom said, we've learned, 4-H, you learn so many life skills. It's really not a matter of the ribbons and the number of ribbons that we all have, but it's about what you learn and that working with others and all that. And so that white ribbon is
very important.
Yes.
Yes, I can very much relate to that with the 4-H project that I received my first year in 4-H as well. So I understand that. So 4-H, I know, led you to higher education.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about your career path and really what led you to extension.
Oh, golly. Kay and I were the only 2 in our class.
Okay.
And went to college. We were the first ever.
All right, good.
In our families, in our community, in our schools.
Sure.
And we both went to Bowling Green State University, so we connect. We continued to connect.
Yes.
And there wasn't 4-H there, but she and I were always in connection with that kind of thing.
Neat.
And I graduated, then was a first grade teacher in Ohio and California. And then I was stay-at-home mom for 8 years.
Okay.
And I will add this, I consider those 8 years my most important years These are my kids.
That's right. That's right.
And people said you could be out earning money. I said, no.
No.
Anyway, then I was special ed teacher for blind, partially sighted, deafblind for 11 years. And then at the age of 46, a professor called from the University of Illinois, and he was putting together a doctoral program for educators who had had 10 years experience as special ed. And my name had been in the paper for things over the time. And I laughed. I said, do you know how old I am? My kids are going to college. Well, the next thing I know, he asked if I could bring my old body over and meet with him.
Oh, goodness. Oh.
Then I'm sitting taking the GRE exam. I'd never taken a bullet test in my life. We didn't have IQ tests.
Sure.
At Blue Creek High School. And I'm sitting there. I could have been the mother of everyone in the room. And I'm going, Jen, what are you doing here?
Oh, my goodness.
But anyway, long story short, I took a year's leave. It was very hard because the kids were used to me and their parents were used to me. It was painful. But I kept in touch. I'm still in touch with many of them. And I got on campus and I loved it. I couldn't believe it. I could walk across the campus, sit in the library for 6 hours. I love libraries. 6 hours, and the intercom neighbor came on once and called my name. I enjoyed the camaraderie of other students. I enjoyed faculty who I felt treated me fantastic. Because I was older, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
And so I just kept going.
Respected.
Yeah. And then I graduated and I became a faculty member in the College of Education.
Yes.
And Tina was in my first class that I taught after I got my doctorate.
Yes, we've come full circle. So
she was a great student, and we just connected. You came in to see me.
We always have. Yep.
And then lo and behold, one day she appears, and I was director of the Leadership Development Program, which is a graduate program in the college. And then one day Tina comes running into the hall and says, Jen, I just heard you're the new director of Illinois 4-H.
I remember that.
I work for Extension. And I think we hugged and cried.
We did. I think we did at that time. That was a really special moment. So.
Oh, it was fabulous.
Yeah.
I was encouraged to apply by a number of people. I can't give all the names.
Sure.
But I was connected with the College of Agriculture. And I always talked about my 4-H experience.
Sure.
In my graduate program or wherever. Because I just felt it was so important. And such a good program. And so people said, oh, it's open, Jen, you should apply. And I went, really? Well, I ended up doing it.
Oh, that's
and when I was called and offered the job, I just about fainted. But my mom, my sweet mama, she was in a senior living facility in Van Wert, Ohio. Oh. And when she found out, that was a job she could really understand.
Yes.
She told every single person on the
premises. She was so proud. Yes, absolutely.
And when I came to visit, oh, you're head of people I didn't even know. You're head of.
She was spreading the good news.
Oh, so. Everybody, even guests.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's a good mom. That's a great mom.
Oh, she was a sweet mama. And I know when I was named to the National 4-H Hall of Fame that she was smiling down.
Absolutely, she has been looking over you this whole time.
Oh, yeah. So. But anyway, so then I loved my time at Illinois 4-H. When I think back, first of all, I think of the fabulous staff. Both in the state 4-H office and out in the state. Just unbelievable support. I felt it from every corner. And we needed reinforcements. But then we had people working for us. I met a lot with congresspersons. Yes. And even the governor. Yes. I spent a lot of time talking to the governor, and then we got some money and we were able to increase. I also remember the volunteers and the youth I connected with. Our youth leadership team, I loved every one of those kids. Yeah.
I just still going strong today.
I know it is. And Deb Stoker, you mentioned Deb Stoker was such a leader. Of that group. I mean, no one could ever match what she did. Bill Million was her assistant, and he was wonderful as well. They're just so.
You had a great team. You had a great team, that's for sure.
And so I just felt such support, and I loved traveling the state. And there were just so many special times. First, I'd say the state fair. Yes. Each day was a new assemblage of counties. And every morning I just took the time of seeing the projects.
Yeah, amazing.
talking to the kids. I mean, I would have tears several times in the morning. And then we had kind of a crazy show in the afternoon, but a lot of people came and the kids loved it. And one of the things that I would ask the kids about what they thought about their career goals. And I would encourage them in 4-H the rest of their time to just try stuff out.
Absolutely.
See what you like. And invariably, they were taking a project that had something to do, or their career goal had something to do with the project.
Yes. And
I've learned that from so many 4-Hers as I've grown over and met adult 4-Hers that I'm doing what I trained to do.
Right. What I learned in 4-H, they found a passion there.
Oh, yes.
And so that was followed through on, which was really exciting to see.
Yes.
Now we see people starting businesses and being entrepreneurs.
Oh, the web
it's just
presence
amazing.
of Illinois 4-H is phenomenal.
Oh, good.
I congratulate you, and I congratulate Lisa Diaz because she's just tremendous in that whole arena.
Yes, we have good staff that do
you
that.
And Angie, you have fabulous staff.
Do.
I love you all.
We do.
And I'm so proud of you. I've been following you ever since I left.
Oh.
I loved it in Delaware too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love kids. And one of the things at 4-H, we didn't have individual projects that you could create in 4-H at the time. But my dad would pick me up at school so I could stay afterwards and help the first grade teacher. She taught my father and my brother and me. I just couldn't have enough kids. In Sunday school, I couldn't be around enough kids. And my whole life, people said, well, what is your... I said, it's got to have kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love them. I look at their expressions, their face, and their excitement.
Absolutely.
And the robotics. When I see the robotics team, if you can't get excited about those
That's
kids,
pretty cool, isn't it? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just incredible. And the STEM projects today.
And 4-H has really grown and expanded with time. And so it's something we've talked about before is how 4-H has really had to change to today's youth. And so it's exciting to see some of those changes. But we still have our roots.
Yes, we
where
do.
4-H started.
And how wonderful we have our roots.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's really
and people
important.
don't envision Delaware as being an agriculture community, but it is. Big time.
Yes.
And one of the programs that I loved, I think both states have done and other states have done, where city kids can adopt an animal on a farm and get that experience and even show
That's so cool.
animal at the state fair. How wonderful is that?
Absolutely, that they don't have that experience.
Just fabulous.
Well, I know character education was something that was really important to you. You even started an endowment when you retired from Illinois, and an endowment was started in your name. And so I know that's something that you really helped kick off here in Illinois as well. So thank you for that.
Well, and as I was checking with Lisa, I want to see that fund. I plan to build that fund.
Sure.
But I really see all of 4-H being character.
It is, yeah.
You know, there's so much that comes from it. And I have parents say to me, and having been in the classroom, parents say, classroom is drilling and sometimes it's such hard, the homework. Our kids come to 4-H, they're free.
Yes, they get to
They're
try
relaxed,
something.
they're accepted, they win prizes, they win ribbons.
Sure.
And they're part of the team. And it's just medicine, it's mental health.
It is, yes, mental health. Yes,
and
absolutely.
for me it was, because being so shy.
That was your outlet.
It was.
Absolutely.
And I just kept growing in it. And how I could ever get to a point of going to college. And my parents hadn't been able to ever go to college. But they were determined.
They were going to see you through. I
kept saying, oh, I can't do that. My mom said, yes, you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you had good support. And that made a huge difference to be able to follow in those.
Absolutely.
Footsteps,
that was my mom and dad's wish that we both go to school. They did not have the money. My brother and I worked through our schooling. I scraped dishes 3 meals a day, 7 days a week.
We all had to get through college somehow, right? Exactly.
And, you know, it was just, mom would come to visit and she'd bring me new clothes. We didn't wear pants then.
Okay.
She'd bring me new skirts and tops. And there was this woman that had a new dress in 20.
Oh. Well, I'm going to brag on Jan a little bit because she won't tell these great stories herself, but I do have a few notes.
Oh, Lord.
And so I want you to know She really had a huge impact on the Illinois 4-H program, and this is why we nominated her for National Hall of Fame, because a lot of the programs that you see today, Jan had a huge place in starting those. And so let's give a few facts. So I have my notes. Enrollment increased from 209,000, doubled to 412,000 while she was the Illinois Director of 4-H, as well as adult volunteers. She started a student intern program, 4-H Legislative Day at the Capitol. You can tell she's passionate about 4-H and can tell the 4-H story extremely well. 4-H Day at the University of Illinois. What a great experience.
Oh,
we still
fabulous.
talk about that.
I loved it.
And we talked about the State Fair daily programs, the 4-H Can Make a Difference food drive that I know was a popular thing at the Illinois State Fair and around. Celebrating the 100th anniversary of Illinois 4-H, and I remember the big cake that we had, and so that's something that we all remember. But you know, Jan just really left that mark, and so I think that's something that people realize. They know those programs existed, but they existed because of Dr. Janice Seitz.
But let me add, any success was our success.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing I loved about Illinois 4-H. 4-H in general, people pull together.
Absolutely, yes.
And when there's a need, they rise to the need.
Yeah.
So these weren't my success, these were our successes. And I was just so proud of all of that and how everybody, Legislative Day, everybody would come. And I mean, we'd work the night before we worked.
That's right.
And after, you didn't think about it, you just
Mm-hmm.
did it.
Yep, yep.
And at the fair, I used to be there every single day. And then I went to the DuQuoin Fair because people from the southern part of the state kept saying,
Where are you now? Right.
I'll believe it when I see it. I said, I'll be there.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
And I
That's
even did the Clover celebration there. And I was
Oh, yes, the
where
Clover
did she come
celebration.
from?
Yes. Well, that was always so fun. That was always such a
Well,
great...
it was fun. It was hardly professional. That was not what I loved about it. It ended the way I wanted it because I started because people thought I was nuts. And the next year I had a youth that was my
co-host,
MC,
yes,
whatever.
yes, uh-huh.
And the next year it was all youth.
I remember that.
And then from then on it was all youth.
Yes.
And then we'd have our little cake. And
Oh, it was so fun though. It was a highlight at the end. It really brought
Oh, it
people
was fun.
together throughout the day, and so many counties that maybe didn't know each other that
Yes.
they brought everyone
yeah.
together, and it really did showcase that 4-H spirit, which
it was
always
fabulous. The
exciting.
displays were out of this world.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's like at the state fair, all the projects. I just could never get over all of
Yeah.
it. And the kids would share with me how they made mistakes and how they corrected them, how they made it better, and I love that.
Yes, they all learn and grow. We have learned by doing. That's our motto.
Absolutely.
Make the best better. So,
But I found the staff in Illinois 4-H, I always felt we were walking shoulder to shoulder on behalf of our nation's greatest resource, which is our youth.
yeah, absolutely. 4-H youth development staff in the state of Illinois are some of the best.
Oh, they're
They
fabulous.
give and give and give.
Yes,
They
they do.
create. They're creative. They're influential in their communities,
Yeah, oh, yes.
and that continues today. And
Yes.
so, I agree. I think that's something that a good support team. So, tell me, what was one of you have so many memories, I know, but what was one of maybe your most favorite memories?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. I would have to say probably 4-H Day, because the MC, Sharon Peevich, would read the write-up about each club, winning club.
Winning club.
And I got to stand there, and these kids would come up. Some were down here
Yes,
very
yes,
little, and
yes.
then there were big ones. I got to stand there and shake the hands of each of those kids.
Uh-huh.
And some would give me a hug, and it was before COVID.
Right.
And we, of course, would honor our alum award winners.
Yes.
And then we'd take them to the assembly hall and have the dinner or lunch with the president.
Mhm.
And then at halftime of the football game, the president of the university, the dean of ag,
Yeah.
and our alum award winners and myself would be on the field.
Oh, that was
And
always
so
so
the
special.
whole thing, and they all were seated in the president's box.
In the president's box.
And it was just a day from the minute in the morning
Yeah.
It was a long day,
Nonstop.
but you didn't think about it. You couldn't wait till the next thing happened.
Right, exactly.
So that would be one of those. Oh, there's so many. And again, I'd have to point to the state fair.
Yeah. You always love the state fair.
Seeing those projects.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the most beautiful things.
Yes, talented
and then kids learning. And I remember spending a lot of time listening to the young people that did this babysitting program.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something new to me.
Yes, absolutely.
I had no, that wasn't in my time, but what a wonderful program.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we'd have, at the celebration each day, we'd feature performers.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kids that would sing, and then I would come out to just present the awards to alums.
Yes.
And so on. And we'd have, the president of the university would show up,
Mm-hmm.
the governor would show up,
Mm-hmm.
Secretary of State, the provost.
They knew 4-H was there and present.
And
That's
they
for
would
sure.
come.
That's sure.
And the dean of ag would come.
I love
it
it.
was such a thrill to introduce them to
Absolutely.
the 4-H family.
Absolutely.
And they, I know they were impressed. They couldn't be anything but
They
impressed.
are. And they still are today. We know that for sure. So
Yes.
let's think about if you could give advice to a 4-H member,
Oh, yes.
what advice would you give?
To look over the various projects
Mm-hmm.
and maybe try some things out.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly focus on if there are any things that you think you already would want to focus your career in such a direction. But take a look and maybe try things out.
Mm-hmm.
And you might surprise yourself. And you'll develop new skills in doing that.
Yes, yes.
And that would be what I would do. And just look at the beyond of what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And don't think of it as just a project, but think of you're building your skills.
Right, yeah. What career path is out there
Yes,
that you could follow?
And
Interest.
always the 4-H pledge and
Mm-hmm.
what we're all about.
Yeah.
And I just think the values are so important.
Yeah.
And people are kind to each other and nice to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would like to turn the whole world into 4-H. I hear people would be nasty to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't.
Yes, yes. So, well, Jan, there was a very, before we go into my next piece is there anything else you wanted to share with us that you didn't get the opportunity to talk about?
I would just say, first I was overwhelmed to be nominated by Illinois 4-H for the National 4-H Hall of Fame. I was blown away. I had been gone a long time, and I'm just like, when Tina called me, I started to give her names of people that deserve it. But I have to say, it just felt so wonderful. It was just, the question kept coming into my head after I talked with you, Jan, how in the world did you ever get here?
Oh.
From that little country school and farmhouse that didn't have indoor plumbing until I was senior year in high school.
Right, right.
How did I ever get here? And then I think about 4-H.
Yeah.
And here I am today, accepting an honor that just means the world.
Yes.
And I'll be forever grateful.
Oh, well, we are forever grateful for what you've given to Illinois and what you've given to 4-H and me personally as well. So I know that for sure. But one of the things that Jan always shared at the end of any meeting, special event, a Starfish Story. So many of you watching may know about this, but I've asked Jan for one more time to recite the Starfish Story and share that with you.
Well, Tina surprised me with this today. And she said, I put it in large print. Well, at 82 years old, it's not as large as I need. So
the glasses are still needed. That's
and
right.
It's a little different than
right.
what I told, so if I stumble, please forgive me.
That's right. We had different versions along the way.
One day, a wise man was walking along the beach when in the distance he saw a young man who was throwing starfish into the ocean. As he approached the boy, he said, "What in the world are you doing?" The young man responded, "I'm throwing starfish back into the ocean. The surf is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them in, they'll die." "Son," the young man said, "don't you realize there are miles and miles of beach and hundreds of starfish? You can't possibly make a difference." After listening politely, the young man bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it lovingly back into the ocean and said, it made a difference to that one.
Mm-hmm.
It made a difference to them.
And that's what Dr. Janice Seitz has taught us all the way along, that in youth development, we always make a difference. We may not see it right now, but it is making a difference one child at a time. So with that, Jan, I thank you.
Thank you.
I congratulate you on
Thank
your
you so
National
much.
4-H
My
Hall
head
of
is
Fame.
still in the clouds. And I could constantly think of my sweet mama. She's going, my daughter.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we appreciate your leadership, we appreciate your friendship, and we appreciate the support and guidance you've given Illinois 4-H and others across the country. You've done so many things nationally as well that we didn't even talk about today.
That's all right.
But I am so glad you were able to join us today for this edition of the Illinois 4-H Clover Connection, and we will look forward to seeing you next time.